Hello, recorders. I'm reporting to you live from LA Comic-Con 2021. It's been amazing coming back to this show, and it's recording time!
Lucifer. So, without further ado, let's bring out DB Woodside and Lesley-Ann Brandt.
It is so cold in here.
Are you cold? Sorry. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. And Lucifer, of course, has been an amazing series, and it recently had its finale. But can you tell us a little bit about how you became part of the project initially?
Yeah.
It was just an audition. It was towards the end, I believe, of pilot season. They had been unsuccessful finding an Amenadiel, which is lucky for me. And I came in towards the very end of the process, and it was, I believe it was Len Wiseman and Ildi who decided that I would be Amenadiel.
Yeah. I almost wasn't Maze. So there was another actress who was cast, and I had one of those pilot season weeks where I was testing for 3 different shows, and you know, you're like riding this high, and then they decided, I think I called you and I said, congrats on the role. I'm actually, or I did audition for that role. And what happened was by the end of the week, I got none of the shows. So Fox had decided they wanted another actress. And then DB said, I think you might be getting a call back because it didn't work out in the table read. And so I almost wasn't Maze, which is crazy to me when I think about it because I love her so much. But I auditioned, yeah, like most of us did, with Len and our producers from Bruckheimer, Christiane and Jonathan.
Maze and Amenadiel have, of course, had major storylines or a big part of the series. Can you talk a little bit about the evolution of your characters from the beginning to throughout the seasons and how you helped shape the character for the series?
It's a long question. Like it's layered. Well, I'm biased, but I think I had one of the most fun story arcs in the sense of just, portraying a character that maybe a version of a really kick-ass, strong woman that we've seen, on other television shows, but with the writers giving her so many layers, she's a very complicated woman, and I think I love that about her. And I think what she wanted every season was very clear. Season 1, it's about getting back to hell, and season 2, it's like, okay, now I'm here on Earth, how do I make Earth home? And season 3, you're dealing with like relationships and humans and feelings, and then season 4 is like, well, who's my love? And then season 5 is kind of like the big old button on all of those stories. I worked very closely with, we were really, really lucky with our writers because they, gave us such great storylines. And then I in particular worked really closely with making sure that I was just authentic season to season and as truthful to like what had been played the season before. And of course, with her costumes and her makeup and her hair, I had a lot of fun with that. And I worked really closely, with our department heads to hopefully give you guys a demon that you liked. And then I fought really hard for that storyline with Eve, because I wanted it to be a woman. I didn't know it would be Eve necessarily, but I really did want her. I really did realize after season 1, and this is like, tribute to you guys, is realize how our show, even though we lived in this kind of fantastical, sometimes silly, supernatural at times, but also very real and human. Like, we touched on real themes that people could take back and think about and ponder. And I very quickly realized the responsibility I had to show and uplift like the LGBTQ plus community, and show, you know, a woman who just loved whoever, no matter how they identified, etc. So to be able to just have that relationship be and exist, you know, even in our world, I was very proud of that. And I'm happy that you guys enjoyed it, you know, in the last season. Sorry, that was a very long answer.
Oh, it's great. So.
I would probably say it was. I mean, I've said this before. This is definitely the most challenging role that I've ever had, because every single season I showed up, I actually felt like it was a different character. So every season, the first season he was a bad guy. The second season he had no powers. The third season he had no wings. Everything just kept being taken away from him until the final few seasons, which then he changed and he became, I feel like, everybody's favorite cheerleader. You know, he believed in Lucifer, believed in Maze, Dan. He just always continued to invest in people and believe in them. And then I think becoming a father, I think becoming a parent for anyone, I think changes who you are. And so I think when he became a father, something he wasn't expecting, that also added another layer to him. So I think he was a slightly different individual every single season. And I think from where he started to where he ended, was a really complete arc for that character.
Yes. Well, of course, Lucifer deals, like you said, with many different themes, and it talks about good versus evil, and especially with your characters, can you talk a little bit about what your character, or even what you learned more about humanity itself, because you have these earthly connections and you definitely evolved, you know, with the character. So can you tell us about what you learned in terms of just looking at humanity in general from just the different storylines and the plot of Lucifer? What did you learn from that, from your characters and from the show?
Okay. I think the biggest thing for me is, you know, he came in a very arrogant celestial, as most of the celestials are arrogant, kind of looking down on humanity and humans as, I think in the first season there was he equated them to kind of pets. And I think what he learned and what I learned, I think myself through him, is we tend to learn the most from the people that have less than we have. It's not people that have the same things that we have that we learn from. It's actually how people are operating who have far less than we have. People who have far less access, far less privilege, far less entitlements, far less money. And I really hope that that's a lesson that, I mean, all of us can kind of pay attention to more in our lives moving forward. That it's not the people that have more than us that we learn from. It's not even the people that could be on the same socio-economic levels that we learn from. It's people who usually have far less than we have that always have lessons to teach us. And I think that's the biggest thing that he learned, and that's something that I'll be taking and moving forward with in my own life.
That's great.
I think, you know, I share very many qualities with Mazikeen, which is probably scary. I don't cut people generally, but no, I'm very, I don't let very many people in, and it's something I've had to learn how to do. And I think that's just by virtue of like where I grew up, how I grew up, I'm my father's daughter, so I was raised very tough, because, that's what he knew and that's what served us in South Africa. And I think Maze shares so many of those qualities, and it's really through her experiences with her new friends or humans that she lets she lets those guards down. And if you are one of those people, it means you're very special. And I think that's why but like when we explore things with relationship with Lucifer or Linda, you know, um, when she doesn't understand how or why someone would portray her if she's showing all of those things, it really does penetrate and hurt, right? But I think what I've learned is you don't always have to have those walls up, and that like part of life is that these situations will happen, and that as a woman, it's okay to authentically be yourself. And if someone finds your assertiveness or your straightforwardness is like aggressive or intimidating, that's like about them. It has nothing to do with you. And that, vulnerability is strength as well. So you don't always have to have the gloves on. You choose who you fight for or what you fight for, and take those lessons with you. And I think in a weird way, as tough as she is, she softened me. As a person. Yeah.
So the last 3 seasons, it was revived by Netflix, and it was almost a whole Save Lucifer on Twitter, and the fans spoke, and you were able to get 3 more seasons. So what is that like, knowing that you have so many fans clearly here that really wanted to have the show continue? Were you surprised? What were your thoughts when that everything was going on trying to revive it, and then it was revived and doing the extra seasons? Was it difficult to kind of jump back in, or did you feel like the 3 seasons were able to cover everything that you wanted for the Lucifer show, like for the finale, to really round out and to make it a complete series? Did the 3 seasons help with that? And what are your thoughts on the fans wanting to revive it?
I think the 3 seasons definitely helped with that. And I have to say, I don't think people realize just how dead this show was.
It was dead.
This wasn't like, there are
dead.
phases to being dead in Hollywood. There's like, a show got canceled, but maybe not. There's the show got canceled. It's like, slim chance. There's a show that got canceled. I'm like, no, that's dead. That's where we were. Like it was done. The producers told us it was done. The people at the studio told us it was done. Like this was not going any further.
Yeah.
And it was because of you guys, something that I have, I've been around a long time. And I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I've never seen anything like that. What you guys did was amazing. And we have talked about this year after year about how appreciative we are, how thankful. And it just got to a point for us where I think we wanted to come back just for you. It wasn't about all this other stuff. I think we're used to having our hearts broken in Hollywood, moving on to the next show, losing a job, going to some other job. It's not fun, but it is something that I think actors are pretty resilient. It's the life that we've chosen, so we kind of deal with it. But to see what you all were able to do really inspired us, and I think it made us a lot more focused. It made the writers a lot more focused. It made the show extremely popular, and that's because of you. So I think it was great. Now I can say this, it was great the show did get canceled, because I think all the great things that we all loved about it when it was revived, we were really able to focus on that. And I remember us starting this show, and we had always envisioned ending this show after 6 seasons. So that's exactly what we got. So we truly feel like we ended the show the way that we want it to, and that's because of you. And we will never stop thanking you guys. So again, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Ditto. And I mean, we all wrote our love letters, like goodbye letters to you guys on Instagram, and then it's like, wait, what? What's happening? And it's the power of fandoms and power of, like, you know, Instagram and social media. And I mean, our show just got sexier in season 4. I you know, Netflix just added, like, I don't know, naked bums and like costumes, like sexier costumes. I know, you know, they came to me and they were like, so we're just feeling like Maze could maybe like wear less. I'm like, I will be naked, and I already did that show. It's called Spartacus. You know, but listen, this show gave me so many gifts. We bought houses, you know, some of us started families. I got married, Tom got married. Like, we've lived like full lives being a part of the show, and to have it be so received in the way worldwide by fans is truly humbling, because we do this little show on a lot in Warner Brothers in Burbank, and we have no idea. I had no idea that once it went out into the world, that it would become this thing. I had absolutely no idea that I am forever tethered to this amazing female character that, you know, I'm told by you guys at these sorts of events means so much to you and in different ways. And it's such an honor. It truly is. So thank you to the fans here and everywhere. I know this will go out into the world, the interweb. Thank you so much for supporting us and giving us 6 years. It truly meant a lot to me, but also to my family. So thank you.
So now that the show has ended, it recently ended back in September, what are your hopes for the legacy of the series, and how do you feel that this show can influence other series, especially within like the DC realm and things? So what's the legacy that you hope that the series will bring?
I feel like every time someone asks me about legacy, I always have to take a step back, because I don't think that we get to decide that, right? Mm-hmm. I think you do your job and you focus on something, and you really hope that you're doing a good job. I'm proud of the show, and I think it's all that we can do is just send it out there and hope for the best. And I think it's going to take a few years for us to really see how people receive this show. I'm hopeful, and I hope it will continue. I think people are forgetting. I mean, we started this show slightly before Me Too, before Black Lives Matter, and you can see during the course of our seasons how those movements really shaped and affected our show. I do have to say, I think we were a little bit ahead of people. I think this is one of the most diverse casts that's on television, and I hope that Hollywood continues to embrace that. I think it's great when we can all see ourselves in a show. I think that's fantastic, and representation matters. You know, I know my daughter, her favorite character is Maze. So there's something absolutely amazing about that, because that is what I want my daughter to look up to. That is what I want my daughter. I want my daughter to be tough. I want her to be smart. I want her to not take any BS from anyone, male or female, you know? So I hope we continue to see more characters like that.
Yeah. Amen to that. I think, I hope our show teaches the world to stop blaming your shit on a guy who has a suit and a bar in Los Angeles. Like, just take some responsibility, be a good person, help people who need it, and live your life and be kind. Like that's our show. Really, like embrace love. You know, anyone can be redeemed if they're willing to like put in the work. You know, yeah.
Okay, to wrap up the panel, do you have a favorite episode or a moment from the series?
Ooh.
That's impossible. It's impossible. I mean, because every season for me at least, every season there's one or two episodes that are my favorite. I will say, because I'm sitting up here with her, I can easily say my favorite scenes with Lesley-Ann were the fight scene in season 1 and was this is a scene that I don't think people pay enough attention to. It's just one of my favorites, which is after in season 5 part 1 or
The
something.
one in Lux?
Yes.
Yeah. With
Where-
Nathan.
Yes.
Behind.
Where Amenadiel and Maze have finally decided, they've worked through all their shit and they've decided that they're friends. And when they're sitting on the sofa having that conversation, and it's just a beautiful shot at the end where they're just sitting there out looking out over the club. That has to be easily, I think, my favorite scene that I've shot with her. Easily.
Oh, that's sweet. I mean that sincerely. You can't see I'm smiling. I'm wearing a mask. No, that was a great scene. It was very emotional, that scene, and unexpectedly so. I don't think we came into that scene necessarily thinking it was going to be that. I will say, for me, the most fun I had, I mean, I always love beating up boys for sure, like any day, but was the noir episode. Because I got to play my mother, and I got to, I started on Spartacus, really, like heightened language and like a period piece, and I loved just playing someone different, but who was so connected to Maze, and finding the physicality of the two women, and how, like I always said, like Lilith was very feline-like, and Maze led with her crotch. Like that was always, like Maze was just like spread eagle, legs out, and Lilith was a little bit more refined. I loved singing in that episode. That was great. The costumes were really tight, but I didn't mind it, like, at all. Of course it's, but I really enjoyed that. And then I think, gosh, I'm trying to think of a favorite with you. Maybe the, like, the throwback to that fight. The second time round we did it, I feel like we got to play more, like, physically, and we got to, it was like, yeah, let's go back to old times, like Demon versus Angel, but then by the end of it, we realized, like, yeah, we're just friends. There's, like, nothing, I banged you in a Bentley once, and then, you screwed my best friend, but we're cool. We cool.
Well, I really appreciate you coming and talking about Lucifer, because we all are fans of the show, and you both were brilliant in the series. And I know that people are going to keep discovering